Well, it just meant the more hits you have, the more chance you've got of being cocky. Because that's it. If you don't have a hit, get to the back of the bus. But if you've got a hit, roll out the red carpet. You know, that was a revolution in as much as recording ideas and concepts. We opened up to a much larger number of people, you know, like these engineers who only became engineers because of hearing all those phasing and all this and that and different sounds that could be done in studios, and revolution in as much as we sold so much corduroy and Mary Quant and all the rest of them, all picked up on the swing in England situation, which the Beatles were really responsible for, in as much as, you know, we were the ones who had the hits and who got the recognition. That's incidental how they took all our money off us, the Inland Revenue, and gave us a leather medal in order to compensate. So in that respect, the Beatles were a revolution. We changed recording a lot. We were very happy when we could make £5 a week each, and then when we started making £40 a week each, we were ecstatic. Then we were on our way. We just wanted to make a record because we were still cocky enough to feel that all we needed was to make a record and we'd be okay. It was like blind faith. It was then, when it got out of control, that was, I suppose, contributed to us going into sort of semi-retirement, because it just became too difficult. The whole Beatlemania in the 60s, I think, even though at first we all got off on it, I think the world, or the pop or music world, got off on it either more than we did or as much as we did, but then they carried it too far, you know, where it was cute for the policeman to have bullets in his ears and have pictures of everybody screaming. The Beatles became like an excuse for everybody to freak out. You know, they'd say, oh, well, the Beatles are in town, it's Beatlemania. At the time, you know, when we split, we'd had too much input from, you know, everything, all that being close together, touring the world, mania, everything like that. We needed a rest from each other, and we needed space to grow. I think it's important because we're growing all the time, and when you like that situation, it's just like a family. You're so close together, and then you grow older and you want to move and you want to go into your own house and have your own friends. And that was necessary. I don't have any regrets, the Beatles splitting up. I think they did a fantastic thing in that short time, but everybody wants them to go together again, and it's impossible. I think it's better left as it is. At the time the Beatles split up, the first thing I had to accomplish was to record all the songs I'd written during the Beatle days, which never got onto vinyl. It's made me want to not sort of kill myself too soon, you know. Sometimes we go too fast in life. Rock and roll is crazy, you know.
Do you think you might have been the most anxious of the four to get out?
Maybe, yeah. Because over the years, you know, I had such a lot of songs mounting up that I really wanted to do, but I only got my quota of 1 or 2 tunes per album. Mm-hmm. And that way I would have had to have recorded about 100 Beatle albums just to get out the tunes I had in 1965.
Were you held down by the other fellas?
Well, very subtly, yes. They didn't strap me down or anything like that. No, it was just the way things happened, you know. It started off, I didn't write, they wrote, then I started to write, and it was sort of trying to push in a bit. You
don't actually read or write music, do you?
No.
Well, then when you say write,
well, write.
If you have a tune that hits you, how do you get it down?
Just keep it in your head, you know. Just work it out on the piano or on the guitar.
But then do you tape it, or what preserves it?
Sometimes put it on tape, but usually you can remember it in your head.
Do you wish you'd studied composition and
no,
all of that? You don't need it.
Got tired of being with the Beatles because musically it was like being in a bag, you know, and they wouldn't let me out the bag, which was mainly Paul at that time, you know. The conflict musically for me was Paul, and yet I could play with any other band or musician and have a reasonably good time.
What was the conflict with Paul? I don't understand.
Well, it's just the thing, like, you know, he'd written all these songs for years and stuff, and Paul and I went to school together, you know. I got the feeling that, you know, everybody changes, and sometimes people don't want other people to change, or they, even if you do change, they won't accept that you've changed, and they keep in their mind some other image of you, you know. Gandhi said, create and preserve the image of your choice. And so different people have different images of their friends or people they see. Well, I got the impression it was like he still acted as if he was the groovy, you know, Lennon McCartney.